guide us and give us wisdom in all that we do on his behalf. I pray in Jesus' name.
All right, the first item is to approve the meeting agenda. Can I get a motion?
I'll second.
Sorry. Motion was by Stevens, seconded by Gerard. Are there any changes to the agenda?
President Ferguson, I have some changes that were at your places this evening I'd like to go through. On new business discussion items, letter G, payment request number 7 for the East Lincoln Avenue Bridge. If you could please change that number from $47,257.25 to $49,257.25. The engineer in his letter of recommendation had a typo. So we just, I verified it today with the engineer and the correct amount is $49,000. With that change, your resolution number 2201 for the transfer of funds, that needs to increase to the amount of $133,211.22. Those changes also have to be noted in your action items. So you will change action item D to $49,257.25, and action item E will then become $133,211.22. Also, after speaking with the Borough Solicitor, in consideration of the 2013 Borough Jeep Grand Cherokee sale this evening on your agenda, there is a sample bill of sale that will be between Hatfield Borough and Hatfield Township for authorization. And as part of the action item, it would be a motion to consider selling the 2013 Jeep Grand Cherokee to Hatfield Township in the amount of $11,000 and authorize Jamie E. Snyder to sign over the title to Hatfield Township. So when you make that action item, if you are going to consider it this evening, just add that you allow me to go with Hatfield Township and sign over the title on behalf of Hatfield Borough. On your bill list, you will also see that Diane updated on the cover, just that the AJ Jerk payment did change.
I'm sorry, what changed?
The payment in the amount of $47,000 that was on your bill list changed to $49,000. So I had her print that out for you so you can see the updated total of your bill list. And that is all the changes that I have this evening.
Any others? All those in favor of the motion? Aye. Motion passes. Item number 2, approval of the minutes. Can I get a motion for the approval of the minutes from December 1st and December 15th? So moved. I got a motion from Councilor Stevens, second from Councilor Fagan. Any questions or amendments to the minutes? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next item on the agenda is public input. Please rise and state your name and address and your reason for addressing council.
No, you're next.
All right, with no public input, we'll go to announcements.
The Hatfield Museum Historical Society is scheduled to meet Tuesday, January 25th at 7 p.m. at the Hatfield Volunteer Fire Department. PERC is scheduled to meet Wednesday, January 26th at 8 a.m. via Zoom. Registration is required. Planning Commission meeting is scheduled for January 31st, 2022 at 7 p.m. here in Council Chambers. And the next Borough Council meetings are February 2nd workshop meeting and the February 16th regular meeting, both at 7:30 PM here in council chambers.
All right, next item on the agenda is Robert Farmer, Patrick Sports Bar and Grill, East Lincoln Avenue, 6 East Lincoln Avenue, the outdoor dining and live entertainment.
Thanks for hearing me. So pretty much there's two things. The outdoor dining. So I got my variance to build the roof for the patio. And we're still stuck on this thing about the outdoor dining stuff. So what was put in place when I built that patio, which was pretty much the groundbreaking for this discussion for outdoor dining. Some of the rules were just ridiculous, like the temperature rules. If somebody comes to my establishment and they want to go outside and sit outside, it's 32 degrees outside, who am I to tell them they can't do that? If that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. Now, as long as there's not snow on the ground or ice on that patio where they can get hurt in any way, that's one thing. So, that was one of the stipulations of this issue with this your outdoor dining requirements. Other than that, everything else was fine. You know, and I feel that we met those conditions in every aspect. Because we really don't know the patio. I can't tell somebody who wants to grab a drink and then go sit out there, they can't sit out there, because now it's the only place they can smoke. Because you can't smoke inside the building. So, I mean, that's one thing I think we need to change about your outdoor dining stuff. As far as the outside entertainment goes, the reason why I came to the borough about the entertainment outside was because of the problem I was having with the Pennsylvania Electric Control Board. Pennsylvania Electric Control Board, your entertainment, whether it be jukebox or live entertainment or DJ, whatever the case may be, cannot leave the premises of your property, which is the most ridiculous thing in the world. Especially seeing the front of our property is right on the property line, except for the side. So if I had those windows open and the sound goes outside and reaches the street, it's a violation. And I got tired of being brought into the LCB for these violations for sound. Okay? So I came to the borough and I had asked for a permit for the entertainment. We wouldn't be able to do bands outside anyway. So what originally was granted was from May 1st to September or whatever it was.
Or summer.
Right.
Summer outdoor entertainment.
Right. So I'm not worried about I'm worried about the outdoor entertainment thing, but first of all, we need to do a little longer because our warmer months are warmer now, and especially with us getting shut down because of the pandemic, that was the only thing that barely kept us alive, was that outdoor entertainment. When all we had was outdoor to use. So I think that I'd like to have this permit for a year-round thing. We're not going to use it to do outdoor entertainment when it's cold anyway, because we just wouldn't do that. It would be, in a sense, it's waste of time and money. But I really wanted this permit so I stopped having problems from the LCD. That was my main cause for having this permit. So that's something I don't have to worry about. If you go down to Bethlehem, every shop in that area, that whole town, has this special permit for anybody who has entertainment outside. Okay? So the LCD can't go and give them a hard time about the sound reaching outside the perimeter of their property. You know, I got 2 fines on one night for 2 different bars 7 miles from each other for noise violations for the LCD. I took the neighbors from 3 of the places around this bar here, in this borough, and 3 of them from the bar in the other borough. Took them to court with me. They told the LCD, who had its own court, makes its own decisions, has its own judges, that, and they told them there was no problem, I still got fined both places. Because the LCD does what the LCD wants to do. And that's an issue. And that's why towns, do what they do with these things, so people can have entertainment and not have to worry about it's happening, And our outside bands, we stop them at 11 o'clock. So they are to stop at 11 o'clock on the button, not a minute past. And we make sure that happens, We've gotten calls from a couple of people that weren't happy about it, but where they were calling us from, there's no way they heard it as much as they said. Okay? So, and I have a noise thing, I have a noise meter also, so that I use, I walk down the trail and see how far the noise is going. And you're going to hear the music from somewhere, and that's just the way it is. At night when it's quiet out, there's less traffic, there's going to be some carrying of the bands. But we don't do, head crashing music, we don't do anything like that. We run mostly all classic rock music. So it's not out of hand. That's it.
So I guess what are you asking for? Are you coming asking for variations or to both the temperature and the outdoor noise?
I am. So the outdoor, like I said, that is mainly for the LCDs. The LCD can't be fined, reduced ridiculous fines for no reason at all. Okay? And we need to be able to run bands during the summer to stay alive. We have to have some edge that all every other place around us doesn't have. Okay? We got murdered by that bridge. 8 months of not having a bridge and not having a sign so people knew we were open. Everybody thought we were closed. Okay? So the revenue I lost for 8 months just because of that bridge being down, all right, that destroyed us. And I'm already $220,000 in the SBA just to stay alive during this pandemic stuff. And then as soon as the pandemic was over and we were about to be open inside full thing, then we closed the bridge down and put me back on. So yeah, I would like this to be a year-round thing, because as far as the thing about the noise. And like I said, we're not running bands during the winter outside. It stops as soon as the weather starts declining and it starts getting to be 55 degrees at night outside. Well, the bands are done. They don't play outside, they play inside. But you can still hear the bands off my property when they're playing inside. So, it's a stupid thing the LCB does, but I can't keep on getting fined and not be able to have entertainment because then I might as well just shut it down and not have business there. And we are one of the better bars in this area. We've done everything we can for the last 15 years to make sure people leave our place safe. There's no big fights, no big problems, and I think we've had the cops there 10 times in 15 years for problems. And only 2 big fights in 15 years, which is remarkable for most bars. If it was that place over in Lansdale, it would have been just a fight every week. So, not much. But, good. So that's, yeah, I'd like that to be a year-round thing. And as far as the temperature goes, I can't stop people from walking outside and drink outside. As long as it's not ice on the ground and it's not, it's not snow out there, then they can go out there. And once the roof's on, there won't be any snow out on the thing anyway. So. And it's a place for them to smoke. So they're not inside smoking. If they can't smoke inside, they get away with smoking.
Yes, absolutely.
Can I ask a couple questions?
Absolutely.
Okay, the borough hasn't cited you for anything, has it?
No, never once.
So, why do you believe that the LCB would stop doing whatever it's doing to you if the borough made some changes?
If the borough allowed us to have that permit all year round, then they can't say anything to us. because it's the same thing they do in Bethel. In Bethel, that whole town has a ordinance that allows them to have live music outside. And there's no specific time of the year they're allowed to do it. It's an all around the year thing, around the year thing. So these places over there are not getting fined. Nobody in that town is getting fined because the ordinances would throughout the whole town.
Okay, so I think what he's asking, and you can correct me if I'm wrong,
Sure.
but we have an ordinance that's in your packets tonight for the Ford Commercial District. The idea behind the ordinance, which I think was passed 2010, probably for hat tricks, I could be wrong, but maybe in connection with our whole core commercial
Yeah.
section.
I believe it was passed, Patrick's went to land development and got their approval, so they never went to conditional use. This was basically passed because of Patrick's,
Right.
for lack of a better term.
Right, so at the time, and I was here, I remember you were happy with what the borough granted you.
Right.
And the borough's ordinance says outdoor dining shall be permitted when the outdoor temperature is 55 degrees or above. So do people want to eat outside when it's 32, or do they just want to go out and have a smoke, which would be
Oh,
something
they want to
entirely
really go out
different?
and drink and sit on the patio. It's nice.
Okay, you have those heat lamps or whatever you have, or
When I
something?
put them out, that's become very expensive in price of propane.
Okay, so if our council was of a mind to do that, we have to change the ordinance, because that's what gave them the permission to have the outdoor dining. Then the other thing that's in your packet that you should look at, and you should probably be aware of, is in 2016, you wanted live entertainment. And Borough Council at the time was trying to balance your rights to bring in customers with the fact that the borough is so tiny that people live near your bar, okay? And so they were trying to balance that out. What they did was they gave it to you temporarily. It's actually expired.
Right.
And although the borough has not cited them for it, it's expired.
And I wasn't aware that it expired. I thought it was every year.
Okay, and the idea was to give you a try with the entertainment to see whether you could comply with, turn it off at 11 and the other things that you mentioned. So if Borough Council's of a mind to do something, and you might want to have one of the committees look at it, we'd have to change the ordinance, and he would probably have to apply and come back in and get this outdoor entertainment resolution changed as well, because he's out of compliance. Although we haven't cited him for it, technically speaking, it ran out. And like I said, the idea at the time was to make sure that if it turned out to be a nuisance to your neighbors, and Borough Council got a lot of complaints, we could say, oh, well, he's only doing it this summer. Now, I don't think that's happened, right? I don't think we've gotten a lot of complaints.
Have you been having outdoor events since 2016?
Yeah, because I wasn't under the impression that it expired. I thought it was every year.
Okay. And how frequently do you have this, do you think? Or do you ask?
Every weekend when we can.
Okay.
Depends on the weekend. We don't do it certain, like the Memorial Day weekend or Labor Day weekend. We don't do this together. So.
Good. Do you say something?
I would just say, whatever council decides, I can put it to planning, building, and zoning committee. If you would like your committee to look at both of these, I think there are two separate issues at hand right now. The one is if planning, building, and zoning would like to look at the ordinance to address the temperature. But if that takes a little longer and you still want to address Mr. Weimer's just resolution that he got to allow him to continue to have outdoor entertainment, that can be done by resolution. So that resolution can be updated, as Solicitor Harper said, because it is expired. So if we can address those as two separate issues, if planning, building, and zoning, and I can work with them and Solicitor Harper if you want to address the 55-degree temperatures, or maybe look at some different language to put in there and put that in planning, building, and zoning and put it in front of council. And then separately, we can look at the resolution and you guys can decide about how you want to go with outdoor entertainment. If you want him to be able to have that for a year, if you want him to have to renew it every year, if you want it to be standing until you take it away, those are decisions that you guys can discuss and then make a recommendation for a resolution, and we can work on that.
My suggestion is you keep them together.
I would think so too, yeah. Yeah,
Because
just,
we're gonna amend the ordinance, you know, and he's gonna play under new rules. We wanna do that. The other thing is, if you do amend, whether you amend the ordinance or not, you should probably make an application to extend this resolution. Do you have a copy of this? Okay. This is the resolution that gave you the outdoor entertainment till, September 2016. So you should probably make an application to extend that. Okay? I mean, the borough's not taking action against you on it, but you're out of compliance.
Robert, also, if you could, I would recommend kind of detailing out what you would like, you know, how you want to run your entertainment, so we can get an idea for that. You know, are we talking just weekends, you know?
It's only Saturday nights.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying, write a letter to council or to Mayor Snyder, or Manager Snyder, excuse me, and detail some of that out, and then what we'll do is we'll have the Planning Zoning Commission committee meeting, or committee under Larry Stevens, take a look at both of those, and do some analysis and come back with some recommendations for us.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I guess, because here's the other thing. I'm trying to sell my place right now. And with stipulations that stop people from doing any kind of things that makes them money, they don't want to buy a business. All right? And I had 8 people come look at that place when I first disclosed. And every one of them didn't want to buy it because of the mortgage. Every single one of them said that the same exact thing. Because that mortgage was done. So, and ever since my dad died, I'm doing this on my own. I'm working 7 days a week. Okay? As we all know, the employee supply chain is nonsense right now. I got 3 people out in Coda right now. So, I need to get this stuff taken care of. And I can't be made to a point where I can't do business and try to sell this to somebody and say, well, yeah, it's a nice place, we can't do much here. And they'll say, well, why do we want to do that? When everywhere else they can do everything. So, and I understand you got rules, I have no problem with that. But let's just, you know, let's be business.
Well, on behalf of the council and the community, we're sorry to see you go, sorry that you want to sell. But definitely we want to make sure the rules are flexible enough that can help any business that's going to be there. But we also want to make sure we're fair, as Solicitor Harper said, to the community, to the neighbors.
I understand.
You know, and want to make sure that what we're doing is not just based on how you would govern it, but how anyone's going to govern it. So,
Sure.
so I think Larry will, or Councilmember Stevens will take it with a sense of urgency, and maybe we can talk about it at the workshop in 2 weeks. See what some of the recommendations are. We can start having that discussion. So. Thank you for your input. Item number 6, new business.
Item number 6, new business. This is to talk about the HEROC ordinance, the Hatfield Economic Revitalization Outreach Committee, changing your commissions and committees. And Kate can talk about it as she did some red line adjustments of what we previously have or what we have currently, and then what the changes would be to decide for HEROC and add that moving forward.
I took your comments from the reorganization meeting and things you and I had talked about, and I just gave you, this is the ordinance itself as it currently exists, and then I read blue line to change it a little bit so you can see what changes I was proposing. For example, you know, we're changing the name of it, but I think the most important thing is take a look at the purpose and make sure I've set it the way you plan it, and make sure that the authorities in the next section are what you want. In membership, I took out all the language about staggered terms because we're way past that. We've already got people on, and you're just going to appoint them. One thing, this is a choice you can make. I broadened briefly the type of people who could be on this to business people, even if they don't live here, just a little bit, because we've always had local business people, whether they live here or not. And the other thing is, I said that they would elect their own chairperson and vice chairperson. And if you would prefer to just appoint that person, that's okay too, but we need to fix that.
Okay. Yeah, I had no issue with it, except for the appointments. That was the only thing I had in my mind as a question. You know, do we want to change that, you know, that structure or not? And definitely wanted to get council's input on that to see what everyone else's thought was, you know, because it would kind of let the committee kind of run itself, set its own leadership, you know, and just wanted to see what people thought about it. Versus, you know, appointing the chairperson like we normally would.
Pretty much makes sense to me, so carry forward, see where it goes.
Okay.
If you like the way it reads, basically what I have to do is to advertise for a week before the hearing. We have to have a hearing because it's an ordinance change. And what I would say is, rather than say we added outreach to the name, things like that, I would say we're reenacting it, you know, with some, a better defined purpose and things like that. Put a summary ad in the paper telling people that we'll be doing this. So, I recommend that we do this at the regular meeting in February. You're gonna appoint some people tonight, that's not a problem. The HERC committee becomes the HEROC committee, and they're on it, so that's not a problem. But I think it's easiest to get the advertising done, you know, in accordance with the law, if we do it at the regular meeting. But you could authorize it tonight so I can get the ad in. Because I'm not gonna run the whole thing, because I'm gonna save you some money. I have to send a copy of the proposed ordinance to the law library and to the newspaper and things like that. So it's just a little bit more complicated. So you have an action later if you want to authorize it for advertising.
Right. Any questions or thoughts on that? Chris? Okay. Then I think we advertise it as you've written,
Right.
and we'll vote on that later, so no changes to what you've written up.
Okay, so then, right, that's fine.
Yep. New business item B?
New business item B is the HERC appointments and terms. So as we just quickly mentioned, we're talking about the HEROC ordinance, but HERC still currently exists, and there are some members that are going to be appointed to HERC and some reappointments. And as you can just see, Mr. Gerard will be replacing Mr. Ferguson, and he will be on for consideration this evening for 2025. Mayor Gerard will be replacing Mayor Kaler on until 2025. Joe Amorosi from Franconia Auto Repair is interested in continuing to serve on the committee, and he would like to be reappointed this evening, and he will serve until 2025, as well as Dr. Gaiman, who is currently on the committee. He would like to be considered for reappointment, and he would serve until 2025. You have Melissa Rosenberger, who was appointed last year, as she is the owner of the Charlie Stop Deli. Mr. Stevens will continue to be on the HERC committee as well. And Sage Sparks is no longer interested in being on the HERC committee due to her business, and so that we will have one vacancy on the committee. So if anybody knows anybody's interested in volunteering for the borough, this will be a vacancy that we then will post on all our social media like we have in the past. So spread the word. The Public Works Director, Stephen Fickert, he sits on the committee as well as a non-voting member. And Lindsay Hellman, the Public Information Coordinator, she will continue to be your liaison for the committee and to Borough Council. So those are on for consideration of action items this evening to appoint those members to HERC. And then, as I mentioned in the announcements, they will be having a meeting next week.
C. Assessed tax value.
Item C is the 2022 Borough Assessed Tax Value. This is provided by the county to the borough and the borough tax collector. It just lets you know what the assessed value is for Hatfield Borough. You will also see one around the time that the school district bills come out, and you'll get that one for the school district as well. So normally you'll see these twice a year. This one comes out the end of the previous year, early the next year, and then you'll see the school district one more in the summertime. So it's just to let you know that the assessed value of Hatfield Borough. It also lets you know what the MCC tax is and the general county millage.
All right, item D, Madam Mayor's office hours.
Yes, I would like to reinstitute office hours with the mayor. So if any of our residents feel the need to talk with me, I can be available to them. Now, what I'm looking at is the second and fourth Wednesday of the month, probably 10 o'clock to 1:30. I also thought about providing evening hours. Not everybody is retired or available during the day, so I thought I would make myself available at night. If anybody works, that they can come and talk with me. I'm looking at setting up in the tax office. Jamie has already provided a desk there and a phone. So I just basically wanted to make everybody aware that that's what I'm considering. Anybody have any questions or comments? Okay, I shall do that. Thank you.
And as I informed Mayor Gerard, when she decides on her hours, we'll get together with Lindsay, we'll put a flyer out, we'll put it on social media, and just let everybody know and communicate through our newsletters and social media outlets that Mayor Gerard would like to have office hours, and here's when it is, and encourage people to reach out to her by coming and visiting, or email and phone are always accessible as well.
No, I think it's a great idea, and I think having the flexibility to change it as needed, based on need of the community, I think is an awesome way to approach that, so.
Okay.
All right, item E, East Lincoln Avenue Bridge, COR.
Item E is for the change order request number 2 for the East Lincoln Avenue Bridge. This is a credit of $10,072. It's just for adjusted bid quantities for the project. So as you can see, some things came in a little bit higher or a little bit lower. They didn't use as many items as maybe, as you say, like asphalt or those things, and they just make those adjustments before we can close the project out. So they've been keeping track of it, and this is just, will give us a credit back of $10,072. Including with that credit, the final all-in cost for the project is $985,145. That includes both change orders from the $31,000 previously that was discussed last year, and this $10,000 credit. That is on for consideration of approval tonight.
Thank you for being in this submission and getting credits. That's not something you normally see in public works project, so.
I'd say thanks, Steve, and working with our engineer as well.
And speaking of that, Councilmember Fagan and I talked with Public Works Director, in particular about possibly looking at putting some sort of guardrails up around that, because we were both kind of surprised that it wasn't, so, something to think about for Public Works, so, going forward. All right, item F.
Item F is payment request number 6 for the East Lincoln Avenue Bridge. This is in the amount of $83,953.97. This is for the closeout of the physical work that they did and was that they had to complete for the project. So they're asking us to pay, McMahon is making a recommendation for us to pay AJ Jurek or consider paying them this evening, and that again is for the physical work that they completed to complete the bridge project. That's included in the total cost that I previously gave you of the $985,000. This is also on for consideration this evening.
Are there any last items or any cleanup items that they have on the bridge?
Yes,
Okay,
they still have punch list items that they have,
okay,
and that's going to be conducted under the maintenance bond.
okay. Do you know what the timeframe for them to finish those are?
They're looking at coming back in the spring to finish everything up.
Okay. Because of winter time, it's hard because of the temperature.
Some of the things they're looking to do is concrete things. We already know that some of the restoration work as far as yards, which isn't much, they're not going to get good restoration jobs done, conducted right now. So they're looking to finish everything up in the spring.
Okay. Okay. We'll have some money left over bond that we're holding in perpetuity for them to finish those up? Or will this close out the entire bill? These,
Payment request number 7, which is the next item on your list, G. That is for the retainage of the project and the adjusted amount of the $49,257.25. We will close the project out if you accept that payment tonight, if we pay that. Like Steve mentioned, the stuff that's remaining will go under their maintenance bond. So we still have that. We can still, if something wasn't to our satisfaction, we can just go after the maintenance bond, and we would still have money to be able to do that. But this payment number 7 would fully close out the project, which would then allow us to file the paperwork with DCED to get the reimbursement for the grant. So as you know, we got a grant for $1,093,000 for the bridge. As I just said, it came in at $985,000 roughly. And so we'll be able to submit that back. We'll still have some money left over for the money that we borrowed as well. And we'll go after the maintenance bond if we're unhappy with the concrete work, or I suggest some maybe seating or those type of items that come more in the spring.
For a project this size, the punch list was very minor. Very minor.
no one's mentioned anything, so that's usually an indication that it's not a lot.
There are things out there. I've gone and walked through with our engineer, and we've created a pretty thorough list. A lot of things that they came up with that I would have never thought of. But it's a very thorough list, and I've been in constant communication with the engineers that we've dealt with for this bridge. And it's a constant communication to get things resolved.
I have a quick question about that. You said about this bond, is that for coverage in the event of something, let's say, for example, settling of the bridge, cracks in the concrete, sinking of the asphalt, anything like that that occurs after it's considered complete, maybe, say, a year from now?
Yes.
Yeah, it's 1-year maintenance bond, yeah. So for different aspects of that, yes, it would, if something would crack or settling or those, we could go back after AJ Jurek for up to 1 year and get those repairs covered under the maintenance bond.
All right, item G, we pretty much talked about everything, so we'll go on to item H.
Item H is Resolution 2022-01. This is the resolution to basically move the funds for this project in the amount of $133,211.22. That is payment request number 6 and 7 added together. Our funds that we borrowed are held at Harleysville Bank. So we have to take the funds from Harleysville Bank for this resolution and transfer them to our general fund to be able to issue a check to AJ Jurek. So this is just a formal process that we do to complete that. It's taking the money from Harleysville and moving it to our general fund to be able to release payment.
All right, item I, sale of the Jeep Grand Cherokee.
As you may know, the current borough manager was not interested in keeping the 2013 Borough Jeep Grand Cherokee, and Borough Council and Budget Finance and Labor previously had decided that they were interested in selling the 2013 Jeep Grand Cherokee. And as I included in the packets, you can see we had an estimated sale for general fixed assets of $25,000. This included $10,000 for the Jeep, and other items such as the tractor and a pickup truck or utility body will also go on for sale later this year. I was approached by Hatfield Township, and they are interested in purchasing the Jeep for a negotiated price as is for $11,000. I spoke with the borough solicitor just to make sure everything was good for bidding or auctioning, because oftentimes we had put things through municipal or went out to bid for the sale of fixed assets, and because it is intermunicipal, that's not required. So on for consideration this evening is for us to sell the Jeep Grand Cherokee, the 2013, for to Hatfield Township in the amount of $11,000 as an as-is sale.
And just for reference, what was the Carfax value for the Jeep?
Sure, so when we did a Kelly Blue Book run on the Jeep, it came back between $11,000 and $12,000 of what we could get for the Jeep. We did, just so you know, the Jeep is basically, it's a stock edition. It doesn't have any fancy backup cameras or anything like that. It's so it came back between 11 and 12. On the low end, I think it was 11.2 was what Kelly Blue Book came back for the Jeep, in the condition that it was, including one accident.
Any questions on that? Item J, budget calendar.
So at your places this evening, you will see a dark blue budget calendar binder. That's just distributed to all of council, mayor, any committees, the planning commission, zoning hearing board. That just includes the Hatfield Borough budget. It includes public works lists that have been talked about during the budget process. It includes all your committees. It includes contact information for council and those people that serve under zoning hearing board and planning commission. It's just a tool that you can use and have at your disposal to be able to easily access the budget and contact those people who you would need to that serve on committees for Hatfield Borough.
That is very helpful, by the way. Thank you. All right, number 7, new business, or old business, excuse me, Borough cat ordinance number 543.
This,
I want to say the latest draft on this one is in front of you, and the committee asked us to add a definition of a nuisance, so we did add that. It's a little bit broader than cats, because this fits into our ordinance book, and we have other sections where there could be a nuisance, such as, and not to pick on them, but such as we reference nuisance when we talk about things like outdoor entertainment and stuff like that. You don't want to have a nuisance. So I added that nuisance definition at the request of the committee. And otherwise, it's basically just about, you can't feed 6 or more feral cats at one time in any one location, because that becomes a nuisance. That's the basic thrust of the ordinance.
Mr. President, the planning, building, and zoning committee did meet and discuss the draft revisions of the borough's animal ordinance, and we also looked at a draft copy of Conshohocken Borough's animal ordinance that they were looking at to address the same problem, but we felt that we liked ours better. As Kate mentioned, we did feel the need for a definition of nuisance, and that's since been added, and then is included in the draft that's in our packet this evening. And with that, the committee feels that we're ready to move the ordinance forward to the whole council's consideration. And just a note that while the committee is comfortable with the number 6 that's written in the ordinance, we certainly are flexible if the rest of the council feels that maybe that number should be smaller. Open up for discussion with the rest of the council.
Thoughts? Anybody? I know I've wrestled with the number 6 before too. So. I'm sure when we advertise this, we'll have a room full of people, so. So expect a room full of people next, meeting, after we advertise this.
Yeah, I will say the major difference that the Planning, Building, and Zoning Committee did discuss between Conshohocken and ours was, the Conshohocken ordinance listed, feeding a group of cats. So it just called them, there was no number, it was just a group, and, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, it was, what as a group is considered. Instead of using a number, it was, if you were feeding a group of cats, you are then, in violation of the ordinance, but a group to some people might be 3, a group to some people might be 10. So the committee had a lengthy discussion and decided that it's better to pick a number. So that's why they stuck with the number 6 that was originally in the ordinance.
We're hoping that our code enforcement officer will be able to just see 6 cats all eating at one place, or a neighbor of the property would see 6 or more cats, and that it would be easier for the code enforcement officer to do his job and issue a citation on that.
Yeah.
There's no magic about 6, if 4 is better, or 5, or whatever, we're fine with that. We were just looking for something to make it enforceable.
Any other feedback from the rest of the council regarding the numbers specifically? Okay. We have action item to, sorry.
I'm still somewhat concerned about who is going to enforce this. Is it going to be the actual police? Is it going to be the public works department? Who's going to enforce it?
No, it becomes our code enforcement officer. So basically, it'd be the same thing if someone had a structure that was in violation, of the ordinance, it'd be the same person issuing that.
That isn't our own police.
He is a contractor.
Contractor.
He's a contractor, so he's here 2 to 3 days a week. But he doesn't work for the borough specifically, so. But he's not,
Can be on call. His contract says we'll just pay him more if he works more hours.
So with this issue, it's not really a schedule, everyone's met, so problematic, it's only about some days.
correct me if I'm wrong, but how I envision this would be probably neighbors would say, taking photographs, saying, hey, there's a whole bunch of cats here, and then forwarding that on to the borough, and then Matt would then take action from there, so.
Right, and not to break a sore subject, but with the bees, it was the neighbors who said the bees are swarming and my kid has an allergy. And then we looked and we didn't have any limitations on the number of beehives you could have. So we went through a process where we came up with this. But the idea would be, the state police no longer has people who can do this. The trap, neuter, and release people, there's not enough of them for all of the issues in the county. And so they're not looking to take on any more work. And so we thought if it was a code issue and we wanted this fella to handle our codes, then we handle it.
Will the neighbor's photograph be sufficient to initiate?
Probably. Or neighbors' testimony. Where these end up eventually is either at the district justice office or at the zoning. Well, this is not zoning, so we definitely go to district justice. And a neighbor could testify there and say, yes, there's, 8 cats or 12 cats or whatever. So it would be better if the code enforcement officer could see it, take a picture and say, I was there on the 14th and there were 10 cats. But neighbors can also do that. That would not be unusual for a code violation. Usually the first one to
Yeah, the
notice
first one.
it.
To notice it, there's something.
Right.
Yeah. All right, I believe we have it as an action item to advertise that. Yep, that's the sheet, so. Any other old business? If not, we'll go on to our reports. Starting with the monthly investment.
Included in your packets is the monthly investment report. This report just talks about the borough investments. It talks about what we gained or what we lost over the month. It talks about the income, and it talks about the disbursements. So the disbursements, if you want to understand them, we have our investments and they are through Key Bank. But Key Bank just manages them and disperses them to Harleysville Bank, where we have access to them as cash if we need to. So that's why there's two disbursements. If you see a disbursement charge and then a fee charge, you can tell, and then total disbursements. So these are just because we had sold previously the sewer and those type of things, and these are investments accounts through Hatfield Borough. So Diane creates these reports. You'll see them mostly at the workshop meeting every month. They happen to be on this meeting because we have the reorg meeting. So these are actually for December. So next meeting, you'll see the ones for, hopefully see the ones for January. The statements came in. And when you go through, you can see each investment account. So it's a capital reserve investment. You have your electric investment. Like I said, you have your sewer capital reserve and your sewer managed. And I will say, if Key Bank does see some fluctuation, they do call, they do reach out if if our cash is over 20%, they ask if we want to invest it, to bring it down. They like to keep the cash availability at 20%. They'll always reach out if they see that it went up, if we need money. They will ask, do we want them to invest? And you always want to do something liquid, so if you can get it out, you can get it out the next day if you have to. So Key Bank does manage that for us, and is, in my opinion, a good provider of keeping an eye on like the market and the investments.
I just think the market is doing a little bit better.
Yeah.
All right, next item, monthly EIT and LST report.
This is also going to be included in the workshop meeting. This just gives a summary of the EIT and the LST that we're receiving to kind of keep on track. As you can see, Diane's done it since 2017 on this chart. If you take notice how we ended the year in 2021 with, we had a total of 432.20 in our EIT, and then the same with, if you move to the next page for your LST, 41,996.78. And I will just say that in the 2022 budget, we estimate $461,000 between the two. And for the EIT last year, like I said, we did the 432.20 is what we came in, and we estimated in the budget 400. So we were doing good. So we're hoping that we continue to keep on that track. We'll keep watching it, as I said, keeps coming in, and we do get notifications of that either daily or weekly when deposits are put into the account. And you'll be able to see that moving forward and what months, get bigger funds, bigger money coming in. So you'll be able to track that.
Yeah, I think it's worth noting that when COVID hit, we were taking a hit on that as well. So I'm glad to see the numbers are back in a positive range. So. Questions? All right, next, police department report. Lieutenant Jane, we see you sitting in the back, awfully quiet back there. Anything interesting you want to highlight? I know there's some hiring updates.
Yeah, so we currently, we have our top 3 candidates are getting ready to go through the polygraph. We are hiring 1 position, so we'll see how everyone fares through there. The background checks would be after the polygraphs, and then the conditional offer would come after that. So, one thing that did not make the packet, we do have a promotion coming up, effective Monday. Officer Brandy McCoy will become Corporal Randy McCoy. So she'll be, we do the official just to get the swearing in done at the district justice's office, but then they do the ceremonial one for her family and everything will be during a township meeting. But that will be effective on Monday.
You know, I also noticed, there were, I think it was like 7 truck stops. Was that typical, or are you seeing an increase or decrease in the amount of stops for truck issues?
Yeah, it's kind of come in waves,
Okay.
to be honest with you. We've had that many before,
Okay.
so it's,
I was trying to gauge if it's any better out there with the trucks or
No.
not. So it just comes and goes.
yeah, everyone's still just paying attention to their GPS and not to the signs on the road.
All right, if there's nothing else to highlight, we'll go to the fire department report.
This was the full year-end report for the fire company that they provided. As you can see, they list their major incidents. They list how many calls per municipality, Hatfield Borough, Hatfield Township, and between their first due and then in Colmar. They talk about their en route time and just the total number of average personnel, how many hours. So they do a pretty good intensive in-depth report for year end. We mostly get quarterly reports moving forward from them. If you've seen them in the packets before, they're quarterly. I will say that they can't thank us enough for letting our public works respond during the day for them. They are very thankful to council for allowing them to do that, and for our public works director. And can you continue to look forward to a good relationship with us? I like to say that because every time I talk to them, it's just how thankful they are that we allow that to happen. And I just always like to pass that message along to you.
Appreciate that. Are and I don't recall the numbers from last year, but are the numbers similar to what we see year over year? Are they increasing or decreasing?
The numbers that I see, and just decreasing around in general, the country is volunteerism in general, just getting people to come out. I don't necessarily know here. I can do a check and compare, and we'll get back to you. That's fine. If you would like that,
Yeah.
no problem. Yeah.
Yeah,
I know.
I'm just
I have the
curious.
report from last year.
Yeah, like I said, I'm just kind of curious to see,
There's
if
more
we see-
activity.
Yeah, more activity, less activity. All right, next item, Public Works, Steve.
Just a whole bunch of goodness in there. We don't have all night for me to run down the whole thing, but
No, is there anything you want to highlight?
not really, no.
Okay.
When you get my January report, there will be some stuff to highlight, the snowstorms and stuff like that.
Okay. You want to highlight the spill that we talked about on Monday?
Yeah, I can. So basically, there was a heating oil spill out at the intersection of North Parkview and West Vine Street on, was that Monday, right? My days are all mixed up.
It was on Monday.
So fire company was dispatched. They did what they could at the time to contain the spill. They called Public Works to come and assist. At this point, the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection is involved to basically make sure the spill is cleaned up and taken care of the proper way. And the cleanup has begun, that started happening that day. And it's, the fuel oil did get into our storm sewer system, but it has been contained.
Questions? All right, engineering report?
In this package, Chad did not supply a report. He's going to do it next week, but I will let you know that Steve, Katie, and I have a kickoff 2022 meeting with Berkshire. It's next week scheduled on Wednesday. And we already are working on an agenda put together, so Chad will come in with Gus, who also works there and does a lot of their on-site inspections. He's part of our MS4 project, so they're gonna come in and we'll meet. We try to do that every year, just so we can kind of be on the same page. There's a lot of projects, as you know, coming up in Hatfield Borough over the next several years, I would say, and some projects that we do every year, such as ADA and paving projects. So we just like to get on the same page, so we will have that meeting next week on Wednesday.
All right, so building code.
Mr. Heil in the code department provided this report. He did note that fire safety inspections are suspended right now due to COVID-19, but that is something that he is interested in continuing or starting back up, I would say, for this year. I know in 2020 and 2021, we still continue to charge for fire safety inspections, though we didn't complete them. So he had said in his other municipalities that they do serve, they are getting back to fire safety inspections, just not as in-depth as they had done before, maybe just starting out with common spaces in rental units instead of going in each individual unit, just for safety-wise for COVID and those concerns. He said since he's doing it in other municipalities, he is comfortable doing them here as well. If he doesn't become comfortable doing them, he will let us know. I will draw to your attention that he only is here in Hatfield Borough from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. Tuesday and Thursday. So the hours have been cut back. I know Katie's been helping out in the department as well as Lindsay to just try to keep the department. I know we kind of dug out of a hole before and we don't want to get back into that hole again. So I told him if more hours were needed, that would be something he should come and I can come to Budget, Finance, and Labor and speak to, and we can move forward with a recommendation to council if the hours aren't enough and we still need to service the borough and keep up with things that are happening, to please let us know. And right now, he thinks everything seems to be going well. It's just when fire safety inspections come, he's saying that he's probably going to need more hours at the borough. And as Kate mentioned in a previous conversation, we only are billed for them when we use their services. So it's not like we have them on a retainer, or it's not that we pay them a specific amount. It's when they are here, they bill us. So you might just see an uptick in their bills moving forward during the fire safety inspections.
Yeah, let things slow down because of COVID, but I
Yeah.
don't know that COVID's going away anytime soon, so we should, heaven forbid something happens and we didn't do inspections, that would be, a big number. So yeah, I'm perfectly good with, allocating additional funds if we need to for that. So.
Yeah, I think we just have to adapt to the world that we live in now. And like you said, I would hate for something to happen because we didn't do the inspections, and especially since we still do bill for them. And even though we only do them every other year anyway, so we're really technically not that far behind. It would just be this be going on to a year that we would be doing them. So I'll get with him and work out a schedule and let him know that we can move forward with the fire safety inspections, and we can talk about, we can see how much time he needs to allocate for that. We can talk about funding.
All right, fire marshal safety inspection report, that's in the packet, but
Yeah, you'll see those reports when we start to do the fire safety inspections, and most of the time when the fire marshal gets called, he'll put out a report. The fire marshal was called to the oil spill that Steve just spoke about, so he'll probably put a report in either the next meeting or the following one to just summarize what he had did on scene.
how about anything from full advisory?
I haven't heard.
Fully represented, right? We have 3 people on there, right?
We do, yeah. We have Caitlin Farrell, Denise Baker, and Stephen Sweet currently serving. And I am not 100% sure, but I don't think they've had a meeting recently just due to the winter months and the holidays. But I will, I always check with Caitlin because she normally takes notes and provides a report. So I will just let her know when they start meeting again that, and I'll copy Ms. Baker and Mr. Sweet on it as well, to just make sure we receive monthly reports so we understand what's going on. especially now that we're still continuing to work through COVID. Maybe things will be similar as they were last year with no guests, and those type of things might be only family passes are issued. So we can let everybody know what's going on with the aquatic center.
Any other questions before we get into our action items? All right. Now the fun begins. All right. First up, we have a motion to consider appointing Richard Gerard, Marianne Gerard, Joe Emirasi, Dr. What do you pronounce Dr. Donald's name?
Gaiman.
Geeman?
Yeah.
Okay. To the HERC Economic Revitalization Committee for a 4-year term to end on December 31st, 2025. I have a motion from Councilor Stevens, second from Council Person. Cresser. Any questions? All in favor, say aye. All right, item B, a motion to consider the change order request number 2 for the East Lincoln Avenue Bridge project in the amount of $10,072. I have a motion from Council Gerard, second from Council Fagan. Any questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, item C, a motion to consider Lincoln Avenue Bridge replacement payment application number 6 in the amount of $83,953.97 to AJ Church.
I'll second.
I have a motion from Councilor Stevens, second from Councilor Gerard. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion passes. Item D, a motion to consider Lincoln Avenue Bridge replacement payment application number 7 in the amount of $49,257.25 to AJ Church Incorporated. Did I get the number right?
Yep.
Can I get a motion? I have a motion from Councilor Stevens, second from Councilor Fagan. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion passes. E, motion to consider resolution 2022-01, transfer of funds for the East Lincoln Avenue Bridge project in the amount of $133,211.22.
Motion.
I have a motion from Councilor Gerard, a second from Councilor Cressler, excuse me. Any questions? We just talked about the pronunciation name earlier, so I apologize. As I was told, the O is silent, so. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? There are none. Motion passes. All right, motion F, motion to consider selling the 2013 Jeep Grand Cherokee to Hatfield Township in the amount of $11,000 and authorizing Jamie Snyder to sign the title.
Second.
I got a motion from Councilor Stevens, a second from Councilor Gerard. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes. Motion, or number G, motion to consider advertising ordinance, which is our Feral Cat ordinance, number 543, for public hearing scheduled for February 16, 2022.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilor Stevens, a second from Councilor Gerard. Any questions? I did receive an email from, I forget the gentleman's name, that said to say no to that, but I don't think he realized it was just for the advertisement of it. It wasn't the actual voting yet, so.
All down.
Did you? Okay, okay. I don't know if you sent them individually to us, or was it a group? Okay, all right. All in favor for advertising? Opposed? All right, motion passes. All right, motion to approve the bills.
The HERC ordinance, Yurok.
Oh, did I? Oh, sorry about that, excuse me. H. Motion to consider advertising ordinance number 544 for Borough, the Hatfield Economic Revitalization Outreach Committee, for public hearing on February 16, 2022. I got a motion from Councilor Kressler and a second from Councilor Stevens. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? None, motion carried. All right, and last, motion to approve payment of the bills.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilor Stevens, second from Councilor Gerard. Any questions? Manager Snyder had mentioned the changes that were on there already.
And I will make just an announcement that the McMahon construction inspection amount on your first page, you'll see for the $10,896.25. There will be a resolution at the next meeting to move that money from Harleysville to general to pay out of the borrowed funds, because that was part of the inspection for the bridge that we allocated when we borrowed the money. So, though we have to pay either way, I'm just letting you know that next meeting you'll see a resolution. It just came in, it was too late to add to the agenda.
Any other questions on the bill? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Opposed? All right, motion carried. Motion to adjourn and have an executive session.
The executive session is to discuss personnel matters.
All right, all those in favor? Motion passes. I guess we're done for the evening.